against me. Never have I heard the righteous forsaken. I know it's in you clearly, making me, molding me, taking me to a place of peace. I see you in everything, leading me, guiding me through it all to a place of peace.
Welcome to another episode of Seasons with Akudo, where we explore real-life journeys of faith, resilience, and purpose. Today's episode is one that many who serve in ministry can deeply relate to. You know, that quiet tension between obedience to God's call and the financial sacrifices that often come with it. We have titled this conversation today, The Cost of Obedience, a minister's journey through faith and finance. My guest today opens up about what it truly means to say yes to God, not just in words, but in the face of uncertainty, lack, and seasons of financial drought. It's an honest, grace-filled look at the price of purpose and the provision that sometimes comes in unexpected ways. So if you have been struggling to reconcile your calling and your livelihood, this episode is really for you. My name is Akudo Udogamokore, and you are watching Seasons with Akudo.
Never have I seen the righteous forsaken. I've heard so many voices rise up against me. Never have I heard the righteous.
Our guest today is the senior pastor of Scripture City Church, a new church in the city of Abuja. He is also an instructor at Kenneth Hagin's Rhema Bible Training Center, RBTC, in Nigeria. He holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and a master's degree in poverty and development from the Institute of Development Studies, University of Sussex, United Kingdom. Additionally, he has a diploma in ministerial leadership from RBTC, Nigeria. He is married to his beloved Olatorera, and they are blessed with 3 children. He is the author of this beautiful book that I am holding here, Stand Your Ground. What to do when the storms come. This is a book you must get. So it is good to have in my midst Reverend Emeka Iduma.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. A long time I've been trying to have this session with you, and I'm grateful to God that it has finally come to life today.
Yes.
So let's move right on. Let's start from the top.
Okay.
Okay. What was it like coming into the ministry? You know, at what point did you decide that this is what God has called you to do, and how has the journey been?
Well, okay, so I'm a pastor's son, right? My dad was a minister for over 35 years,
Okay.
so ministry is not what is new to me, right? Ministry is something I was born into,
Okay.
right? So being in the middle of, or growing up in a house where your parents were ministers would definitely be something that any child, right, would have to think about. For instance, I have friends whose parents were professors,
Okay.
right, who had inclinations towards being a lecturer, right?
Okay.
So if your father is a doctor, at least one person
Who
will
have to
think
be a
about it.
doctor, yeah.
But I think for me, because I was exposed to ministry at a young age, by 13, I had preached my first sermon. You know, so
13?
Yes, and I was preaching to over 1,000 people.
Adult children.
Well, this was in secondary school. So,
Okay.
The FCS then.
FCS,
You can imagine the hall was packed, and I preached. I remember the day I preached the sermon, and
Whoa.
I made an altar call. I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So ministry had always been around me. But I remember as a teenager, just leaving secondary school and about to enter into the university, I wanted to take a pause at everything and reappraise my life for myself,
Okay.
to be sure exactly what I wanted to be, right? I think for me, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to get a career but God just kept following me all through, right? And I think that it was while on campus that, the university campus, that I eventually got what you would call the call to the ministry.
Okay.
And I did a lot of ministry on campus. I did in secondary school as much as we were allowed to. But on campus, I did quite a lot of ministry.
Okay.
I pastored the youth arm of a bigger chapel of the university while I was on campus for 2 years. And I also pastored on the campus fellowship. So that was ministry for me, right?
Okay.
That was really the starting point, right? And eventually, when I would say this, that growing up, I've always had that call to the ministry.
Okay.
That's the thing. I always knew that I was going to be a minister, but I wanted to run away from it, right? Because I wasn't sure I wanted to do exactly what my dad did.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, so where are you now? You're still in the ministry? You're
Yes,
in a church or what?
yes. So right now, yes, last year, my wife and I, in November of last year, we pioneered a church in the city of Abuja.
Okay.
Of course, I have been in ministry since my campus days. I have done corporate work too,
Okay.
right? I still do some management consulting work from time to time, but I have largely been in ministry since I left the university, since my university days. And so, but this is the first time we are pioneering a work. And by November of this year, that would be 1 year since we started that year. So I think that ministry is something that have been in my heart from childhood. Right now, I'm the only child of my parents who is in the ministry.
Ministry, others are just following their career path.
Yes, following their career path. That's
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So where are you now, and at what point did you start facing this financial challenges? Because I know that you had mentioned that it's not just that easy to be in the ministry and at the same time, managing funds, the funds in the ministry, something like that. Okay. So where are you right now? At what point did this challenges start?
Okay, I think for me, I will start with growing up, right? Because again, like I said, my dad was a minister of the gospel. He wasn't the celebrity preachers that you know today, right? If he was alive today, he would be in his early 70s, but he wasn't a celebrity preacher. So it means that we did ministry the way the average preacher did ministry. Right? So my dad was educated. He went to school. He was in fact he had a master's degree. So my dad wasn't for want of education, but he gave himself completely to the ministry, and we saw that. So he used to tell us stories of, especially when I was born. I'm building up to something, right? So he used to tell us stories about when we were born and when I was born, because I'm the first. And that was the most challenging time they had ever had, or he had ever had, and because they were just starting, right? And he told me a story of one day when my mom was breastfeeding me, and they had just made the last yam, boiled yam, and palm oil. That's literally what they had left in their house. Wow. When I was a little baby, I said I was a baby, right? And a visitor came, right? And just about when they had blessed the food. And they both stood up. I said, welcome. This was maybe like 9 to 10 p.m. when they were about to go to sleep. And they said, welcome. And they left the table and offered the guest the food.
And
right? The guest was coming from, it was a long distance. The guest probably wouldn't have known all the details. Right? It just felt like, and the guest ate and went to sleep. And they all went to sleep. My dad went to sleep, and he said in the middle of the night, my mom woke him up and said, I am hungry. And he said the thing that that helped him that day was that guest came with bread. I don't know if that culture is still here today, but when you travel to somebody's house, you typically would buy bread along with a loaf of bread. Right? So the good thing was that he came with that loaf of bread. So he went, got water and that loaf of bread, and my mom ate dry bread with water that night and went back to sleep. Of course, that one that would do something to a child. He didn't tell me this as a little child. He told me this when I was in my teens, going to my 20s. So that would do something to me. You know, that would say, okay, is it that this was the only job you could do? Like you went to school, right? You could have taken. My dad didn't work a corporate job one day in his life. You know, he didn't do any business. He had no business. He had nothing apart from the ministry, literally. So so he had to depend solely on God. He would say things like, and when he started ministry, he was doing ministry among students.
This is real obedience.
Yes. So that's why I said I will start my story from him, right? Because I'm not sure I saw half as much as he did. Of course, he built something that we could build on. But I could see him walk through that life to the extent that by the time he was dying, he had 2 secretaries. He had a very large office. He had 2 cars. He had built his house. Like, things were a lot more easier. Better, when I checked his account balance, I didn't imagine that my dad would have that kind of money in his account. You know? So, but this is 35 years later. Do you get? So, this is 35 years later. So, for me, I felt like I could approach ministry differently, right? So, when I got a call to the ministry, left secondary school, left the university, did my NYC, I think I was ready to go straight into the ministry. Exactly, I could replicate what my dad did. I didn't mind, right? I was ready to go straight into the ministry, but I realized God was telling me to take another route, especially at the earlier part of my life. So he wanted me to take a regular job. And by this time, I was already enrolled in Rhema, had done my first year. So God wanted me to get a job, you know. So, and I remember in 2012, he told me, give me 10 years to prepare you for the ministry that I've called you. So I figured that part of that preparation was getting some corporate experience. So I took that detour. But meanwhile, when I finished from Rhema started calling me and telling me to come instruct. So come instruct. And once Rhema called me like that, churches started trusting me and started calling me to preach for them. That is when I went full into itinerant ministry, started preaching in different churches, started talking to different people. But meanwhile, I had my day job. Right, and that day job was physically taxing because if you know what management consulting is, it's a lot of work. It has quite a lot. It's a lot of work, and I was working with one of the top management consulting firms in the country as at the time. So it was a lot of work. So
it's intensive. You know, being in the corporate world at the managerial level is quite intensive.
And I grew through the ranks. I remember when in 2018, I just sensed that it was time for me to disconnect from corporate work and get into the ministry full time.
Okay. So I'll stop you right here now, and we're going to take a very quick break and be back shortly.
Take a guess at the latest media house in town. Let me help you with that. We are Seasons Studios. Yeah, you heard right. We come with special effects to all your media productions for all seasons and any kind of brand. We come with a complete package offering services ranging from photography and editing, videography and cinematography, all kinds of event coverage, podcast, voiceover, documentaries and movie making, advertising of all sorts, graphic designs and digital artworks, consulting, creative arts training, as well as renting of production equipment and gadgets. You can also rent our tastefully set up state-of-the-art studio for your talk shows, podcasts, and more. So are you looking for a place where you can solve all your media problems? Seasons Studios is truly what you need. Get to know us at number 2B Adisa Plaza beside Ibeto Hotel, Gudu, Abuja, or call us on 081 77 44 6770. That is 081 77 446770 or 081 123 194 76. That is 081 123 194 76. You can also send us an email at info@seasonsorg.com or visit our website www.seasonsorg.com. Trust us to wow you. See you soon.
Welcome back from our short break. You are still watching Seasons with Akudo. So I'm back to Reverend Iduma. Was there a point when you decided to walk away from all of this? Not from God,
Mm-hmm.
but from the weight of what the task came with.
Okay. Now, to be really honest with you, I because of the way I grew up, because of I've seen my dad weather the storm over the years. Yes, the thought probably occurred to me, but I didn't pay attention to it. I think that is important. It's not because I am some super strong kind of person.
Yes.
I'm saying because I had seen ministry modeled in front of me. So I was saying that I had worked up to 5.5 years and grown to a senior management position where I used to work. And I remember the day I went to meet my boss and say, I am leaving the organization. The truth is that he had spoken to me a couple of weeks before to say, okay, we're thinking about you becoming one of the principals or partners in the organization. We'll start with an associate principal position. And I said, okay. I kept quiet. I didn't say anything because I didn't want him to feel like he brought something on me, and so I gave it some time. Then I went back to meet him, and I remember when we were speaking, we went out first to go have lunch. We talked together. Then when we go back to the office, he called other people and said, look at this guy. He said he's going to. I mean, he was joking about.
I can imagine. He's kind of funny as well.
Yeah. So I remember one of my senior colleagues then looked at me and said, Emeka, what are you going to be eating?
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember that well because it was a very defining moment. It took a lot of courage, it took a lot of faith for me to say I wanted to step out into the ministry. So, and I did. I did it anyway. So I told them, well, God will provide. I told them, I've seen this happen before, so it's not going to be the first time or the last. So that's when I started working with Rayma as a minister.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where itinerant ministry started. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that, yes, things got really rough. My take-home pay reduced by more than 90%.
Okay. Whoa.
Yes.
90%.
Yes. And this has nothing to do with where I was working now. It's just like I told you, I was in a senior. Talking about the big firm, one day I put in my salary during my masters. I was trying to calculate what poverty was like in the country, and I tried to look for what the top earners were, monthly earners, and I put in my salary that I was taking at the time before I left. I was among the top 5% earners in the country. Yes, I didn't know that until I had left.
This is really the cost of obedience.
I didn't know what I was earning until I left the organization and tried to find out. I'm talking about 5% earners in the country. Now, Nigeria, you think Nigeria is really comfortable. Nigeria is not as comfortable. I'm talking about Nigerians in our earning power.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that by the time I was leaving and what I was earning in in the ministry, nothing wrong with what they were paying. They were actually paying better than most other ministries. Actually, they benchmarked other ministries. But I wasn't working in the ministry. I was working in the corporate sector.
You were coming from the corporate sector.
Yeah. So it had nothing to do with the organization I started doing ministry in. It's just not comparable.
Yeah.
And all that. But I remember the first day I got this, I smiled and chewed my wife. We've got him paid. But immediately I realized something. That you see, this is time to use my faith. Up until that time, I had used my faith to get a pay increase. I remember when I was still working there, we didn't have, dollar had just jumped. This was Lord Jonathan's time. Dollar had just jumped a bit, and things just got difficult for us a bit. This was before I became a manager. And my wife and I, we held our hands and agreed. And I'm telling you that the very next month, my boss called me. The organization was big, but that day I went to show him something. I said, Emeka, I'm thinking about that. I think we should increase the salary of the staff. And by the end of the month, I got a 60% increase in pay.
Wow.
And so I had learned how to use my faith in the corporate sector.
Yes,
to get what I wanted to get promoted right now. But now, I have to release my faith for my daily living. Like literally, I had to think about how I'm going to get food for my kids. I had 2 kids. We're living in a house that we're paying the rent off what I was earning. I don't know if you get. So my 1 month rent, my 1 month salary could pay my rent, and I'll still be fine. So now I was struggling to pay my rent. So it looks like our life, just our standard of living, just dropped. But I was smiling through. You wouldn't know.
Wow.
You wouldn't know. I didn't complain. Sometimes I'll think about it. I say, Lord, 2 years later, I'll see some people who were older than the organization. They now bring. I say, that's what I would have been. And God will tell me that. What do you think? What you're doing right now, what we're doing now, which is more noble. So I'll keep quiet. I'll praise God. I will go back. And so what I now did was, we had to start releasing our faith. I said, I am a minister. So what ministers do is that they preach. That's the first job of a minister. So Lord, I'm not in a church. I'm in a Christian ministry. Open doors. Right? And we started releasing our faith then for 2 or 3 meetings every month. And it took us a while, like you said. My book came out of
was better.
Yes, out of some of those difficult times.
Yes, which brings me to the next question I wanted to ask. How has this difficult moment shaped your belief or your mindset about God, about career, about money, about ministry, and every other thing that surrounds your life?
Yeah.
How has this shaped it? Because what you're just sharing with me right now, let me just throw this out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we read so many things and listen to so many comments that people make online, on social media, and the rest of them, and they say, they are just prosperity preachers, they are just this, they are just that, and all of that. A lot of people still do not know this underlying sacrifice that ministers make and keep making. And they still do not understand that no matter how rich a minister is, most times 90% of whatever they get, they earn, still goes back to the ministry.
Yes.
Either through people, either through God's work, either through evangelism, whatever it is, name it. So we are sharing the story so that you can really understand that there is more that makes a minister.
Yeah.
So which is why I'm coming back to you, because I need to understand, how did this shape your mindset about God, about your ministry, about your money, and beating this book, all right? How did it really fully come to life? Because I've read this book, and it's one of the things I would say that has kept me saying, I must have a session with you. I must have a session with you. I must have a session with you, because some of these things here, okay, maybe to you it's easy, but to people like me, it may not be easy. But I have to still ask, so that whatever knowledge I'm getting or whatever I'm learning from you, other people can also benefit from it. So let's know how this has shaped your mindset about God.
Yeah, when you asked this question, the scripture that immediately came to my mind is Peter, 1 Peter, and Peter was writing to the church in Rome, largely. That's primarily, he was writing to the church in Rome that were going through a lot of difficult times.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what he said in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. He says, the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Having yet not seen, you love, though now you do not see him, yet believing, you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Now, the King James says the trial of your faith, right? I think for me, the difficult times help refine my faith, especially if you put your head in the right direction.
Yeah.
So this is essentially 2 responses that believers have when they are going through tough times. The doubt and the weight of the difficult time crumble them, and they feel really, really tested. Now let me tell you, I am painting this picture now, talking about it from a different standpoint now.
Yeah.
But let me say this: it was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
You know, it was so difficult. I'd never been without resources that much in my entire life. It was such a difficult period. But I'm talking about a 2 or 3 year period. I'm not talking about 10 years. This is just between a 2 or 3 year period. You know, but I learned something. And what did I learn? I learned to trust God. Right? I learned to go back to the scriptures and just stay with it. I remember the day that I took a decision, you know. I remember where I was the whole, you know how the whole weight of your financial pressure. I'm talking about at some point I couldn't pay school fees for my kids, you know, and this was during the COVID and post-COVID period, so things were really down for people, you know. So it was that period. I remember one day I just woke up and said, "This ends today." I'm telling you. Like, it looked like within the next couple of months, it looks like something just opened. People say, call me, Emeka, I was looking for you. There's this thing I wanted you to help me do. You know, Emeka, before you know, like, even doors of ministry started opening up to me. Okay, come and preach for us here. Come on, and they'll give me an honorarium. I'll look at the money and say, did I preach this much? I'm telling you. I remember the first day I got. I sent my wife. Maybe they added the last zero that they were supposed to add. Was it that good?
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm saying, both in business, things started opening for me on the side. But I actually, even in ministry, it looks like people say, seeing me.
Yeah.
You know, but what it did for me is that it shaped my beliefs. It made the roots go deeper. That you see, you know what? Even if I have nothing to my name, I will still preach this gospel.
Oh God. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of people are getting inspired by all this right now, because I think I have also been there, you know, and I know that this is why this is actually very important to me. So if we have to take it off finances, a lot of people are still going through so many things that keeps shaking their faith in God. So let's go a bit into this book. All right, there is this particular place where you said something, I think I got it marked, you know, where it says steadfast in faith. And I'm just going to read the first few lines. You said, to resist him, being steadfast in faith means that you say to the devil, I am not moving. It means I stood my ground concerning this situation, and I am standing here. One of us must move, and it's not me.
Yeah.
You know, so at what point, how do I put it? How do you develop that kind of deep-rooted faith to be able to withstand the enemy in the face of this trial, in the face of not being sure how to pay the house rent, and there is no money at all, or let's just say the kids are about to start exam next week and the school fees is not paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, okay. So let me tell you, I don't know, I think it's in that book. My son had a rash. I think I remember, because I preached this sermon quite some before I wrote the book. You know, so my son had a rash, and this rash was nothing like, it's nothing like we had seen before. It's not heat rash. It wasn't something we had seen before. It was weird. So we went to the doctor. The doctor looked at it and said, we know this thing, it's very rare, that it's not going to go easy. That we don't have any drug to give you. You know, I mean, this was something that even if we had to get turtlenecks for him, because it was going into his neck, you know, and it was going to be scary. It's not it wasn't contaminable, right? Yeah. So his brother didn't get it, even though they slept on the same bed.
Yeah.
But it was just weird. So the doctor couldn't help us. That's it. He said, we can give you some things, but this is not going to help. It's going to take a long time. So when we got back home, I think it was my wife that took him. When she got back home and told me, I said, okay. I said, you know what? I'll be the one responsible for bathing him.
Okay.
So every morning, As I poured the water on his body, I said, Rash, I have spoken to you, you go. Every morning I did that. I decided to bait him because I wanted to see it and keep telling him to go. After a while, I mean, you know how your consciousness of something just walks away. One day we were just talking and he just came running to me, and this is a matter of maybe a couple of weeks. He came running to me, bare-chested, and I said, wait, let me see your back, let me see your back, and it was completely gone.
Gone. That's faith.
Like
that is
so I'm saying that I remember that because I just kept speaking to it. You are going, you're gone, you know. And the doctor said he can't help me, so the only person that can help me right now is my faith in God. And that's exactly the same thing. I remember during this period where we had these difficult times, so I called my family together. By family, I don't mean they are not adults yet, they're kids, but they can remember. Because we had to move houses to a more affordable one, you know, and because we couldn't pay. So when they saw the house, you know, so I called them together. So what's it called? We have since moved out of that place, but I called them together and we started releasing our faith. Like every morning we'll come and say all our needs are met, all our bills are paid, all our debts are paid in full. I owe some of my friends money. It's the reality of things.
Yes.
You know, so I'll say things like, Lord, the Bible says that it's the wicked that borrows and does not pay back. So I'll say things in front of my family. I'm not a wicked man. I pay back everything I owe. I remember somebody, I was owing this person over ₦1 million. You know, the day I paid back, right, I paid it back and added some interest.
Wow.
Once. That's how money came into my hand. I paid it back and added interest. But we kept saying it every day. And the day we were leaving that house, and I went to show my kids the house we were moving into, they could see faith at work. They could see, Daddy, that's what we were saying. This is our new house. You know, we kept saying we're moving to our new house. This is our new house. You know, we're believing God for a new car. We've got in the, when they saw a car drive, they said, Daddy, we now have a new car.
Yeah.
You know, they could see it. But we didn't stop. We just kept saying, there'll be times where I will feel depressed, feel like slipping into depression, feel like, oh God, my life. Is it going to be this terrible? Is it going to be this hard? Just because I said I want to do this, you know. But I'll remember, I'll strengthen myself in the Lord. I'll get myself up. And I'll keep saying exactly the same thing. Yeah.
You know, this has actually, I was almost getting close to tears when you were saying this thing, because I know that somehow a lot of people have been there. I know a friend that has been there. I have also been there at some point in my life, and it's very, very tough to keep speaking the word. But this has just shown you right now that there is power in spoken word, just like the word says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. So it is what you profess. So let's take it down to the people who are inspired by what you have said right now, and they know they have been called. They know they have this assignment, but they don't have the courage to move forward. What would you be saying to them?
Okay, so I will say to them what I kept saying to myself, and that is simple. I can do this. You know, I had to first convince my flesh didn't want to, my mind didn't want to, but you know where they say the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak.
The flesh is weak, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to keep talking to myself and say, Emeka, you can do this now. You can walk away from this. You can start again. You can build something. You can do this. So I had to. Because let me tell you, while I was working this corporate job, I couldn't run away from the call. I knew it was there. So every year I would take a retreat and go and pray in tongues. Maybe God didn't want me to do ministry again.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be sure, if you don't want me to do this again. But you see, by the time I sensed in my spirit it was time to move, you know, there's something I tell myself every time. I can leave anything that I have now and start again. You know, and I learned that from my dad. You know, that there is nothing material. I'm talking about phones. You get this. There's nothing in material that I can't walk away from. My dad, armed robbers came to our house. They were stealing things. He had cameras. He had just come back from the US, so he had all these little things.
Yeah.
They came and they picked. These were hungry armed robbers. They came and picked all kinds of things from the house. My dad had a Volvo parked outside. This was in the 90s, late 90s. And they were going. He said, well, do you guys want the car too? My mom was like, is something wrong with you? Unfortunately, there were 10 or 12 grown men. None of them could drive. That's how poor.
Oh,
They left the
and they would have gone with
They
it.
would have gone with it, but they just couldn't drive.
This is funny.
Yes, but that taught me something, that I cannot be attached to things.
Yeah.
I cannot be attached to things. So this is one of the reasons why it is a struggle for many people, especially if they're in the corporate sector and they're thinking about ministry and they're like, I earn 8 million naira a month. How will I live? What am I going to do? At 8 million naira a month, I could live anywhere in this country. I could do anything I want. I could go for vacations and come back with my kids.
Yes.
So they're thinking about all of those, and now they're saying that God called you. What does that call mean? What am I going to? And you see several people like that wake up and they're 70 years old, and they never fulfilled God's call for their life.
Exactly.
You see, if there was a holy fear in me, it was that I wake up and I'm 60 years old, and I say to myself that, you didn't do what God called you to do. So I said, you know what, if for anything, you see that holy fear, it's not like I'm afraid of a rattlesnake, it's just that I will stand before God, and it tells me that I told you to go and do something.
And you did it.
And you didn't. And why didn't you do it? It's because you were scared. So I told myself, there is nothing that I can't walk away from. Nothing. I'm telling you the truth. If it came today, if it is my own today, tomorrow I'll get a better one.
Yeah. And that is the fate.
That's it. That's what kept prompting. Like I told you, somebody told me in the office that, what are you going to be eating? It was a valid
That's a
question.
very deep question.
It was a valid
Very,
question.
very.
Because he knew a lot. Now, see, let me say something. That we see the celebrity pastors. And nothing wrong with it. I don't have anything against any minister. I'm a minister myself. So we see a lot of pastors now that are the rave, the ones that people are celebrating. First of all, they didn't start like that. It took them years to get there. But let me say that. They say this, that is the top 2 to 5%. You see, I can call names now, and I will not be able to call up to 20 celebrity pastors in this country.
Yeah.
But there are more than 200,000 pastors, and that is what's it called? You get a very low estimation, pastors in this country.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, that ministry is work. There's a lot of sacrifice in ministry. We see the big pastors, and the thing that comes to our mind is, all these pastors, all they are looking for is tithe. See, I'm pastoring now. I look at the offering, because we just started, I just laugh. And I say, I thought they said there is money in ministry. Where is it? Of course, we have just started. Things have gotten a lot better than it was before. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that, so if our church is doing like this, I can see the other church that have less members than we are. That means they're doing a lot worse than we're doing.
Yeah.
And the pastor has nothing he's doing. Apart
He's
from
just a
ministry.
full-time minister. Yeah.
So most pastors are like that. I'm saying most, I'm not saying few. I'm saying most pastors, that out of 100 pastors, there are probably just 2 or 3. I grew up in a pastor's home. I know this. My dad had friends that were pastors. Most of them struggled for the beginning and even to the middle part of their ministries.
Yeah.
They struggled.
Yeah. But what the world sees is
The big
big
names.
things, exactly.
So when they say the big names,
The flamboyant
Yes.
cars, the luxury that comes with it, the tithe, they're always looking at the size of the tithe, the Gucci's and the designers and all of that. That's what the world is saying. That's what they are counting.
See, let me tell you, my dad got to the place in ministry where he never bought shirts for himself again. And it's not because he told anybody to buy shirts. is that once his members go abroad, they buy 2-3 shirts, they buy suits, they buy ties for him. Like my dad was clothed, shoes. By the time we passed, I went to his box. There were shirts he hadn't worn. Like he hadn't worn, stored up in a box somewhere that he wasn't even looking at, because he had ones that he had been wearing.
Yeah.
Do you get? They were during Christmas when what's it called? When I was still even in the house. My dad died over 10 years after I left the house. You know, when I was still even in his house, maybe a little under 10 years.
Yeah.
When I was still in his house, right? We will have Christmas and we'll have 5, 6, 7 bags of rice onto our house. Do you get?
Yeah.
Like sometimes we will give out a lot of rice. The dashes, assistant, I will give rices out, and we'll still have rice that will last us till for the next year.
Exactly. Because it's the Lord's work.
Yeah, it started multiplying, but that's not what it started for.
Exactly.
Somebody will see him at that time now. He had 2 drivers available to him, 2 cars available to him. They're driving him up and down. He was in his 60s. You know, some people think that all these pastors, they're enjoying their life.
Exactly. That's the statement out there.
Yeah, I'm saying so.
That's it, yes. Somebody said, why would I even buy something for a pastor, to go and enjoy with his wife, or send the tickets for a vacation to a pastor for him to enjoy with his family, when I can't even afford a vacation?
It's okay. This is that. See, let me tell you. See, giving shouldn't be coerced, and I tell people every time. Let the people who can afford it. Let the people who are willing to give it. Some people give without affording, not being able to afford it.
Yeah.
For instance, do you know what it means? Let me tell you something. The woman that broke the oil of alabaster with Jesus, the Bible says that it was a year's wages. What is our minimum income?
About
70,000. That's our, yes.
Yeah,
so 70
wage.
times 10 is 700,000. Plus 140, that's 840,000.
That's about the annual earning.
So that is 1 year's wages. Imagine buying a perfume worth 840,000. 840,000 is not a lot of money now.
Yes,
I'm telling you. There are perfumes that are 1 million naira.
Yes.
So imagine buying a perfume that is worth 1 million naira and not spraying it. Those kinds of perfumes, you spray it little by little, it can last you for a month, it can last you for 2 months, but just come and break it on one person at one time. And Jesus didn't feel like, she had hung the moon. He didn't feel like, wow. No. Because the smell of the perfume filled the entire room. They knew that this wasn't
just an ordinary perfume.
You see, what I'm saying is that woman felt that Jesus was worth 840,000 naira.
Or even more.
So if you don't think that the minister is worth that, by all means, the people that believe that the minister, there are people that minister literally brought, when they got into church, just got born again, they didn't have anything. And he kept teaching them, and the principles that he taught them, right, took them to where they are earning all kinds of money. And they feel like, I have gotten to where I am today.
Yeah.
This man is very instrumental to where I am today. How do I honor him? And say thank you.
Yeah.
And you do that, and you're complaining.
So it comes from a place of thanksgiving.
Yes.
A heart of gratitude.
Yes. So again, I'm not saying that I know some ministers have done something. It's part of their good ministers, their bad ministers.
Yeah.
It's the truth wherever you go. But what I'm saying is that, you see, we should also understand, and this is what I'm saying, that there will be, most of the ministers will not taste that kind of wealth. It's in heaven that they will get it.
They'll find it.
And it's not because of anything. Maybe sometimes they don't know how to apply their faith. And that's why ministers also need to learn about faith.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just because of that. Some other times it's because of where they were sent. I'm telling you, you can't ride a Rolls Royce if you're walking in Sambisa Forest. It just doesn't make, even if you're going to get a car, it won't be a Rolls Royce. It won't be a, what's it called? It won't be
It will probably be.
Yes, it will be a rugged car.
A rugged car, a truck.
Yes, that's the kind of, if at all you're going to be prosperous in that kind of place, that's the kind of, what kind of offering can they give you? They will give you chicken and and rice and things that they crop. If that's where God called you. I'm not saying that people can't supply your need, but you won't be a city pastor.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this to say that, what's it called? Ministers are going through a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
The ones you see out there, you know, that you celebrate on Instagram and things like that, are like the top 2%. The other 98% of ministers are struggling.
Are struggling. Wow, this is awesome. So if you have not read this book, I highly recommend this.
Yeah.
And I think you should pick a copy. He's going to share with us where we can find copies of this book, because it's helped me, it inspired me, it taught me a lot, and I think it would to also bless you. Please just give us a little bit of information on where we can get this book or how we can get it.
Okay, so there is a link on my Instagram page and also on my Facebook page.
Which is?
Yeah, my Instagram page is Emekaiduma. Just
Okay.
EMEKAIDUMA.
Okay.
So it's part of the links there. Once you just see it, you click on it. It's a personalized link tree link.
Okay.
And once you click on it, you either choose whether you want it as a hard copy or as a soft copy or as an e-copy, and you can get it. It's also there on my Facebook page.
Okay.
So any one of those you can get it. I think it's also on Seller, but I can't remember the link itself. But if you go to my page, you'll be able to get it.
Wow, we have just had a deeply moving and honest conversation. You'll agree with me on that. So obedience is rarely without sacrifice. But as we have heard today, it's in those moments of lack that faith is refined. Dependence is deepened and purpose becomes clear. So my prayer for you today is that this story gives you or gives someone the courage to keep working, to keep trusting, and to remember that God's provision is not always instant, but it is intentional. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Reverend Emeka, for being on our sets today. We are truly blessed. So until next time, thank you for joining us. And remember, whatever season you are in, there is grace for it, and there is purpose through it. Stay encouraged and be grounded in faith. Bye for now.
Never have I seen the righteous forsaken. I've heard so many voices rise up against me. Never have I heard the righteous forsaken. I know it's in you clearly, making me, molding me, taking me to a place of peace. I see you in everything, leading me, guiding me through it all to a place of peace. Never have I seen the righteous forsaken. I've heard so many voices rise up against me. Never have I heard the righteous forsaken.